Greetings, YouTubers. This is Darby, and today I decided to do a video to give artists advice. So, if you want to, you could fast forward to somewhere around here or here somewhere. I'll put the time if you want to fast forward to that advice. But first, I want to talk about my journey because, as you might have heard, or if not, I'm hoping to tell you often, art is a journey. At least that's the way I look at it. It's not a destination. You're not trying to get to that place where you're famous or you have that dream of what you're doing, because even when you hit that dream of being that animator or that comic book artist or whatever it is, that photographer, you're going to want to keep on dreaming and going and living that and getting better and getting better. There is no end destination. It's not like a pot of gold at the end of the road. So just basically to talk about my beginnings, I loved drawing when I was a child. I had a sketchbook, a 3-ring binder. It wasn't a real sketchbook. It was like college ruled paper, and I just drew with markers, and I think it was Ninja Turtles back in the early 80s, early 90s rather. And I just loved it, and I loved it, and I loved it, and I loved it. I didn't even write really words. It was just action scenes and story plots and stuff. And then one day, a kid in my class said, "Hey, you can't draw." And then he said something else, I'm sure, but then I stopped. And then later on, it was in like 5th grade, 6th grade, somewhere around there, teacher said, this is how you paint, and this is how you got to do the project, and there's no leeway, this is just how you do it. And that drove me nuts, and so I just walked away. And then, I've always heard, the starving artist, and, you shouldn't get into art because you're going to go nowhere. And, at some point in time in a child's life, the parents take them out to eat and give them crayons and tell them to draw and whatever. And now it's probably an iPad and a coloring book, or maybe not even that. And then all of a sudden, there's magic age, you're supposed to not draw at the dinner table, and you're supposed to just sit there and talk or not talk. It depends on your family. Either way, they stop encouraging art. And so I think that kind of happened to me. And then in my 20s, early 20s, I watched Pollock with Ed Harris, and for some reason that really resonated with me. So in between colleges, I ended up moving south. I lived in Florida for a while, and I ended up painting in my room. Went to Hobby Lobby, grabbed a bunch of supplies, and started painting in my room and throwing paint and whatever. And I ended up getting the paint stuck once and squeezed so hard the paint went flying and hit all over the ceiling. It was a lovely mess. Anyways, so I did that thing, and I've changed my journey, and now I'm an art educator, and I do it because I love it and I love creating, but also I want to give that outlook and that encouragement to students when I didn't feel I had it when I was younger. And so I'm trying this to push my art a little bit further. My children are growing up a little bit more, and my baby's 2.5, and so I'm starting to get a little more wiggle room and time to myself, and not much rather, but I'd like to encourage and grow my art. So I want to draw every day. I'm going to do the Drawing Every Day Challenge. I started, and I'm about a week into it. I've learned quite a bit already, and I've looked up some other points of view, some ideas, and I want to tell you what I thought that might help you guys, and I'm definitely going to have this encourage my students to move forward and do this. So without further ado, here are my drawing tips, in no particular order, and I kind of start with this at first. Don't work too large. So if you work too large, especially when you're doing digital media, you think it's not too large because it's in your computer or your iPad, but really what I mean by that is you have your subject, whether you're drawing like a orc or a superhero or whatever, and then you want to do the background. And it's not just a line drawing and the background line drawing. You want to do shading, or you want to do cell shading or coloring or whatever. Especially when you're starting out, don't go like large scale. I really feel like that's something I have to keep reminding myself, because I keep looking at these YouTube videos where these people do this, some sort of like, check out my sketchbook, and then they're flipping through their sketchbook, and it's just amazing piece of art after amazing piece of art after amazing piece of art. And really, you just want to enjoy the journey and just keep going and keep going. Don't work too big. And my next tip is, don't expect to make a great piece of art every day. Don't expect to make an amazing piece of art. Just learn the simple act of creatively thinking and drawing and doodling, or studying a hand or studying facial expressions, or just doing something like that is going to vastly help you grow. And drawing every day is also going to help you do that. The next thing to do, I'm checking out my notes here, is don't worry about taking a break. Not like daily take a break, but if you're drawing one day and you're like, oh, I'm going to draw this Dungeons and Dragons character, which is on my mind. I'm going to draw that, and then I'm not finished, so I'll finish it the next day. And the next day comes, and you're like, I'm not really feeling that today. I want to draw something else. Do that. You know, your drawing is going to suffer if you try to force it. So what you need to do is move on and allow yourself to work on many drawings at once, and then come back and finish that. You know, when you take your break and you come back with fresh eyes, you might see a nice creative way of fixing or finishing that image. I think that's the big thing. One of my favorite things, like my students, and I've learned the most, is compare, compare, compare. And so what I mean by that is you definitely should be working, and I haven't said this, with a reference image, whether that's someone else's drawing, someone else's work, or a photograph that you've taken or someone else taken. Compare everything to, you know, compare the angle of the nose to the angle of the chin, and compare all the lines, compare the values, because that's really going to push your work farther.